just outside the shop. This is where you guys haven't seen this yet. This is where the new shop is going to go. So anyway, wanted to show you guys a cool little trick that I've been using for a few years now. Got to make sure to get my Rockstar in, right? Sure wish they would sponsor me. Anyway, all right. This is these pieces are for the power steering assembly to clamp onto the frame, the subframe on the Miata. And these have been Ohio'd. I mean, they're corroded, you know, they got rust on them and all of that stuff. So we scrape off all the big stuff we can. If you do have access to wire brush or sandblaster, media blaster, clean this up and get it as close to bare metal as possible. And then last night I did this guy in primer, and he's just got simple stuff I use, and I've had really good success with this. I use all Rust-Oleum stuff for any of the rattle can stuff I do, and self-etching primer. Hopefully this doesn't show up backwards. I don't have any way to fix that, so I apologize. They won't let me flip the camera on the phone. They won't let me flip the camera on Instagram or YouTube or anywhere, so I apologize that it's backwards, if it is backwards. This is self-etching primer. This stuff is great. It's very durable, and it does what it says. It actually etches into the pores, the open pores of the metal. So if you do have something that's been bead blasted, you have a ton of open pores. If you have something like this that's brushed, you have a few open pores, not as many, but still good amount of open pores. And this stuff will dig right in, and it grips in, and you do 2 coats of this, you'll have a really, really nicely primered surface. So that's what I use. Now, to get the cast aluminum look, you guys know I am a huge fan of TBL, and I use Rust-Oleum truck bed liner. That's TBL stands for truck bed liner. And so I wanted to show you how I do cast aluminum stuff. It looks like cast aluminum, but it really isn't. And I've done this on a few different parts to kind of give it a vintage feel. So like on oil pans, like the oil pan on the Miata has this finish on it because it looks kind of, you know, 40s, 50s sort of, you know, old school factory kind of look. But you actually get really good protection from this. And if the silver comes off, who cares? You spray new silver on. It's not, you know, you can refinish it pretty easy. For this stuff, I'm also going to add clear coat, but we're not going to do that today. So the nice part about TBL is it dries very quickly. It dries in about 10 minutes. So, and then you can add more coats however you want. The trick with truck bed liner is distance. So I'm going to paint that. I'm just going to primer that guy. Distance with TBL is hugely important. If you do it here, you're just going to get a very flowing flat shape. If you come further out, the more grip and sort of grit you'll get with it. There's guys that add sandpaper when they do actual truck beds. They'll like sprinkle sand in there to give it more grip. You don't have to do that. You can if you want to, that's cool, but I prefer just to get the distance. And this stuff is really great. If you're worried about ice or salt and all the crap on the roads, this stuff will protect. Make sure you do 2 coats, and it dries very quickly, about 10 minutes per coat, maybe 20. The sun is starting to set here, so that's why I'm trying to do this while the sun's still out, so it'll dry a little bit quicker. And then for the metallic look, we have just regular Rust-Oleum silver metallic. And this comes in, you can do it in copper, you can do it in a whole bunch of different colors, but we like the silver, gives that cast aluminum look. So I'm going to set these guys off to the side. I'm actually going to, I'm going to do this one after we've done that. So I'm going to set him off to the side. Grab some Rockstar. This guy's already been primered. So we'll just take the TBL, and yeah, use gloves. It doesn't matter how clean you think you're going to be or how precise you are with pushing or whatever. You're going to make a mess. and it's going to go all over your hands. Always with rattle cans, that's why they're called rattle cans. Shake it up. Make sure you have the right, it's actually spraying. Sometimes they're jammed up, just throw it away. You're not going to be able to clean any of that shit out. So distance, you guys can see the distance I'm going here, what, 2 feet? So, and I'm going to kind of walk around, so forgive me for blocking your view. Of course the wind picks up, right? And I'm just doing little blasts to try and make sure that I get coverage without overloading it. Now this part is nice because the underside that's laying there, I don't have to paint. I actually want it to be straight metal. So I'm just going to make sure I get a nice coat on there, and that's it. Takes about 10 minutes for that to dry. We can bring this a little bit closer for you guys. You can kind of see, sort of see the first layer of TBL on there. Now I can also see some areas that I want to hit again on the next pass inside these edges. It's wherever dirt, salt, anything can stick. You want to make sure you protect those as best as possible, especially when you're doing the primer. Now painting is 95% prep and 5% paint. So all of the preparation you do to get the metal correct or get the fiberglass correct or whatever, all that stuff is so much more important than actually doing the paint. So it took me a long time to get all, I don't have any power tools here, or I don't have a sandblaster or anything. So it takes me a long time to do these. And then 2 coats of primer, about an hour between coats. That's, I think they say 30 minutes, but I usually give it about an hour. See what I'm talking about? And this is not me flipping you off. That's just where, that's from me being very careful spraying. It's still got the corner, my finger, it'll happen. That's why we use bitch mittens. So, you don't have to wait between coats, but if you're going to apply anything else, you have to wait for TBL to dry. And it does dry very quickly. And it helps to be able to rotate the part or rotate yourself, just so you can get a better view on this. And then you can see how far away I am. So the further you get away, the finer the grit, or the finer the look. If you spray right up on it, it's just going to look like straight rubber. So I wanted to have all those bumps and indentations and ridges and valleys and all that. And I want to make sure the sides here are protected too. And the other good part is all this stuff cleans up real easy with acetone. So take a cotton swab and a bottle of nail polish remover. You can get your favorite scent if you really want. And that's about it for the TBL for now. If I decide to redo it, I can redo it. It's not that difficult. Bring this over so you guys can get kind of some of the look of it. So right now it looks like black, cast black. There's still some leftover. These parts are electrostatic enamel. So there's still some of that left on there, which I left on because I think it'll look cool. You get a better even finish when everything is perfectly bead blasted and you're just doing truck bed liner. But for this, I kind of wanted that a little more vintagey feel, so I left that on. I'm just going to do a test spray of this to make sure that the can works. You never know. I bought brand new cans for, 12 bucks each, and I just have to throw them away because the nozzle doesn't work. So, and also I store my paint cans upside down because their entire life they've been stored this way. So in order to mix the paint a little bit better, I just store them upside down. Hopefully I'll go through them before anything else is needed. The other thing you can do is you can test, if you're wondering if it's dry or not, you can test the surface next to where you've been spraying, and you can tell it's not quite dry yet. But TBL does dry very quickly, which is a good thing, especially when you're doing like a whole truck bed. Like if you want to do a truck bed, like a regular size truck bed, 6 foot, 7 foot truck bed, you're gonna need about 10 of these. Get a dozen because you'll probably need a dozen of them. Now they do make the big, huge turbo cans. Those are great too. You'll probably need 8 of those. But if you want to do a truck bed, you're going to need about a dozen of these. And they're not cheap. They're like 15 bucks each. So, but the nice part is something gets, scraped across there or whatever, you can just go back in and just do that little section and it'll match perfect. You can really hide it very easily. So I'm going to give this a couple more minutes. And thanks for being patient, you guys. I appreciate it. I know this is not fun watching paint dry. Nobody likes doing that. I don't know of anyone, maybe like Jackson Pollock, he probably liked watching paint dry, but not very many people do. So once this is done, we can do our coats of silver. Now, these guys, this is enamel, so this needs a minimum of 24 hours to dry, to completely dry. And what do they say? 10 to 16 inches, we wish. God, the print is so tiny. Dries to the touch in 10 minutes. Oh, it says fully dry in 30 minutes. You can do the next coat after 1 hour or 48 hours. Sometimes enamels, really hardcore enamels, will be a week. You have 1 hour to get all your coats on, and then if you need more coats, you have to wait a week for it to fully cure. So this stuff actually cures pretty quickly, which is good. Hey, someone's plane's coming in. I don't know. Sorry, someone's jet. There is a very private airport not far from here, so we don't get very many jets that fly over because they're usually just little small regional guys or private planes. Not even regional guys, just private planes. But occasionally we get a Coast Guard helicopter right here, or like we just had someone's private plane. So give this maybe a couple more minutes. Since the sun went down, it kind of cooled off, but I think we're still above 70 degrees. I can check quick. What does it say? Oh yeah, it says 72 here. And the thermostat over here says 72 as well. So we're still above 70 degrees. If you can paint above, I would say the very minimum for painting is 60 degrees. And I would say the very maximum for painting, any kind of outside or environment or whatever, is probably 85 or 90. Otherwise, the humidity is usually much too high, or the solvents in here will evaporate too quickly. So I would say probably 85 is your max, maybe 90 is your max. But you definitely, I shouldn't say the lower the humidity, you need to have correct humidity. It can't be too humid, but it can't be too dry. So, yeah. I've had a lot of rattle can stuff last a very, very long time. The truck bed in the blue truck that's here, I've had that for 7, 8 years. And yeah, there's some chips and dents and stuff in there, but the rest of it is in really, really good shape. So you can make this stuff last pretty damn long. You know what, while we're waiting, I'm going to set this to the side. And I don't really want more primer on here, so I'm going to set him to the side. I'm going to bring our other guy in here. I'm just going to do some coats of primer quick. Shouldn't say coats, passes. Now primer, I get a lot closer and I make sure it gets in deep, but I also don't want huge runs or anything. So I'm losing light very quickly. So I'm gonna get this done for you guys. So I want that primer to dry so that I can TBL it later tonight. I'm gonna move this a little bit and I'm gonna give that primer a couple of minutes, maybe. Let's see if I can get these edges here. That's the other hard part, getting all the really fine spots, all the edges, because that's the only thing you'll notice when you're putting the thing back together. You're like, how the hell did I miss this whole edge? Okay, we're in good shape with primer there. Let's, it's a little hard to see, but the underside of that is not painted because there's a rubber bushing that goes there. Now you can tell my gloves are not sticking to this, so the TBL is dry, mostly dry. We have a really nice coat on here, and here you can see the inside of the bushing. It's just brushed. So I'm going to set it kind of away from the primer. We'll do our silver. Is that out of your guys' shot? No, you guys can still see it. It'd be nice to have a camera that like zoomed in and you guys could watch me do this close, but this is what we've got for now. So now same thing here. I'm going to go pretty heavy distance because I don't want a smooth coat. I want it to actually look rough. So I want this color to take on the characteristics of the truck bed liner. So again, it's going to be super light dusting and a lot of passes. It looks kind of cool. It's kind of like frosting, like sugar, when they dust your pancakes at IHOP or whatever. It's kind of what we're doing here. But eventually it'll be completely covered. And again, I want to get those edges. And to give you a very cool kind of cast aluminum look, which is already coming through. I'm getting messages from people. So here we go. This is our first kind of half coat. Hopefully you guys can see how that is coming through. And slowly but surely we'll do another pass here. And we'll change the angle up a little bit. The primer's still not very dry, so we'll change the angle and keep doing our same method. And we're losing sun quick, so I gotta kind of keep going. It's a little quicker than I would like, but I'm also trying not to bump into you guys, but also not get too close to this thing. So we have a stamped steel part that looks like it's cast, which I personally think is pretty cool looking. It's just a different finish. And when you're doing car stuff, to kind of mix the old and the new, I think is kind of cool. So if you have a new part, but it has kind of a vintage finish on it, that's kind of neat. I mean, who hasn't done neochrome, right? We all have. So now I think it's dark on this side, but it's actually not, because when I change it over to this side, it goes silver. This is so funny. Just because I know that it's a stamped steel part and it has this cool cast aluminum look to it. That's cool. We like that. So here we are. Hopefully you guys can pick up on that and you can see that finish that comes through there, and it looks sort of like cast aluminum. It comes through better. I'll hold it this way. I'm trying to keep my gloves and stuff out of the way and still get it, you know, kind of close to you guys. So we're going to let this guy dry, and we'll give him a full 24 hours to dry, and then we'll come back and clear coat him. We'll do 2 coats of clear coat, and that will be ready for assembly. I'm going to do, I'll come back tonight with the head lamp on, and I'll do the other part. But that's our cast aluminum look for our power steering clamps. So we might do that on, what else do we have? I've got some other parts. Some of the other clamps, I might do it to it as well. Although this clamp is kind of a one and done. You don't ever adjust it. I don't know. I might do it to the other clamps, like the clamps to hold the high pressure hose. And I've got some other stuff. Maybe I'll do it to that. I haven't decided yet. But I wanted to show you guys how this works. So hopefully you guys liked it, and you can try it out on different parts. If you have just a spare part, try it out. Test out, you know, distances that you need to keep the TBL away. You know, distances you need to keep the paint away, how many coats, all of that. Get a couple of spare parts, get them super cleaned, wipe them down. Alcohol works great, acetone works even better. Let them dry, get the primer on there, let that primer dry, let that etch dig into those open pores on the metal. Then try it out, you know, try truck bed liner at different distances. Maybe you're way, way, way back here. You're like, oh no. And it gives this really fine particle-y finish. Or you want it close and you just want like 4 little bumps on it or whatever. You just spray, and it looks like a piece of rubber. It's not a very cool look, but okay. But yeah, you can do this with try it out on a bunch of different parts, and you'll get good practice at it, and then you'll get the finish that, you know, you're looking for. So that's kind of it for this one. I hope you liked it. Definitely, you know, shoot me a comment. Let me know what you think. You guys will be part of the rack getting reinstalled, so I'll show you these again when they're totally finished and clear coated. And if you have any questions, comments, whatever, definitely put them below. Shoot me an email, send me a text, whatever. I love hearing from you guys. And thanks to all the subscribers, all the new people. I got a bunch of emails the last week or so. So thanks everyone. I'm glad you're enjoying what I'm doing here. And I'll keep doing it for you guys as long as I can. That's about it for right now. I will probably be back here tonight, but in the shop where there'll be light and all that stuff, and we can go through more shop stuff. So thanks again. I really appreciate it. And don't forget to show someone that you love them today. Give them a kiss on the cheek, give them a kiss on the tip of their nose, hold their hand, give it a squeeze. It's really important for them, but it is far more important for you. All right, thanks everyone. We'll catch you tonight or tomorrow, maybe. We'll see.